Hello friends, it's Recaps Now. Today I am going to explain to you the Hollywood fantasy and comedy movie Night at the Museum. So let's begin. At the start of the movie we see a man called Larry, who had been unsuccessful throughout his life. We see that even today he has missed the career day at his son's school. That is why he goes to his ex-wife's house. Actually, both he and his wife are divorced. Here we see that Larry meets his ex-wife's fiancée, whose name was Dawn, and has an impressive personality. Larry finds out that his son wanted to emulate and be like Dawn rather than following Larry's footsteps. Larry is extremely sad to know this, as he feels like failure in both his professional and personal life. Then we see that somehow Larry manages to secure the job of a security guard at the National Museum of History, as he was unemployed, so for now he found even this job to be fruitful. Then we see that, as the museum was going through losses, so the authority decides to fire the old guards, and now only Larry has to look after the museum. Larry meets the outgoing guards who hand him the keys and an instruction manual and advises him to keep few of the lights on at night. They also tell him to not let anyone wander outside the premises. However, Larry doesn't understand the logic behind those words. We then see the three men leave and Larry is left alone in the whole museum. Tonight was his first official night as a guard. When Larry is sitting at the reception, he hears strange noises and goes inside to check the source of the noise. When he enters inside the museum, he finds that the place where there was a dinosaur's skeleton was now empty. Larry is left dumbfounded seeing this. He was seen walking ahead in a fearful manner when the dinosaur whose skeleton had gone missing was seen standing in front of him. Larry gets frightened and starts running from there. We see that the dinosaur follows Larry, and Larry understands that it did not want to harm him. Rather, it wanted to befriend him. Larry understands that something was wrong. He starts reading the manual provided to him by the three old guards. In the manual it is stated that African lions should be locked inside the museum no matter what happens. Besides this, the manual warns Larry to be aware of the monkey who had the habit of stealing the keys. We then see that Larry goes to check on the lions and tries to pacify them, but he notices that he did not have the keys to the lion's cage. Actually, the monkey had stolen the key, and when Larry asks for the key, the monkey makes fun of him, but gives the keys. Larry then locks the door and moves forward. He then finds that many of the animals had regained life. These included miniatures from different civilizations. These people were always seen arguing with one another. The Mayan leader was the violent of them all, and everyone wanted to escape from him. Inside the glass we also see a Native American lady. Actually, all the ancient things of which people had only heard of had regained life during the night. In the next scene, we see that the Western soldiers and the Romans attacks Larry, but before they could harm him, a man comes on horseback and saves him. This man is shown to be Roosevelt, the 26th President of USA. He informs Larry that in 1952 an Egyptian pharaoh's tomb was brought there that contained a magical capsule with it, and it is due to that capsule that all inanimate objects regained life until the sun was up. He also informs that if any of them went out, they would decay when the sun rises. Roosevelt tells Larry that he had to make things right in the museum. Larry then understands that Roosevelt liked the Native American lady who was trapped in the portrait. We then see the old guards return, and Larry gets angry with them for hiding things from him and leaves the job in a fit of rage. Meanwhile, he encounters his son and Dawn, who congratulate him on his new job. Here we see that Larry's son again invites him to the career day function, and Larry decides to continue in his job, as he wanted to be a role model for his son. One of the old guards tells Larry to do through research on the museum. Larry then goes to the library and conducts a thorough research on the objects of the museum. We then see Larry heading to his duty, and here he entangles a bone in an automated toy car that the dinosaur could play with. He also gives the wild men a lighter that they could use for lighting fires, but Larry extinguishes the fire. Then we see that the monkey again snatches Larry's key and also opens a window through which Larry observes the Western and Roman leaders and tries to control them, but is unsuccessful. Larry then observes that a wild man had escaped and got the key from the monkey, and Larry tries to stop the man, but in the meanwhile the sun rises and the wild man turns to dust. Then, we see that the garbage cleaning service arrives and takes the wild man with them. At night, we see a fire breaks out in the museum and the senior officer on duty fires Larry on charges of negligence. Meanwhile, Larry's son was also visiting the place with his friends and hears the conversation and gets depressed by it. We then see that Larry, who wanted to continue the job, tries to convince his boss. His boss agrees to his plea and gives him another chance. Now, we see that Larry meets a lady who was researching on the Native American lady, as he was very impressed by her, so he informs her of what happens in the museum at night. The lady, however, does not believe Larry. We then see that Larry's antics pisses her off and the lady leaves from the spot. We then see Larry visit his ex-wife to pacify his son, but Larry's wife refuses to let him meet his son. Then we see Larry promises to take his son to the museum and keeps his promise. Larry told his son how all the inanimate objects sprang to life at midnight, but sadly this time nothing of that sort happens and his son is again left disappointed by him. Larry goes in and finds out that the old guards were stealing things and had also disabled the magic capsule. Here we see that Larry's son finds the capsule and Larry shows and tells him to activate it. Once Larry's son activates the capsule, we see the guards running towards the pharaoh's chamber. We then see the guard of the chamber locks those 3 guards. In the meantime, Larry comes to the scene and frees the pharaoh. The pharaoh could speak in English as he had been to Cambridge University. Now Larry had to save the museum from being ruined, and so he delivers a motivational speech. In his speech he requests help from all associated to get rid of the thieves. We then see 2 of the men being captured, but one of them is able to escape with the capsule. We then see that the thieves are stopped by Roosevelt and the American lady and the Roman and Western leaders. In the process, Roosevelt breaks his waist, but the lady helps him recover by help of application of heat from the candles. In the next scene, we see that all of them are chasing the thieves in order to get the capsule from them. We then see that Larry goes to Central Park, chasing the guards, and collects the capsule from the guard. The scene shifts, and it is almost dawn and they have to somehow reach the museum. All of them were rushing to the museum when that lady researcher whom Larry had told about the things being alive at night sees this and concludes that Larry was saying the truth. All of them reach safely, and the researcher also comes there and Larry makes her meet with the Native American. The next morning, we see that the incident at the museum was all over the news channels and the senior again fires Larry, but then he observes that the incident had increased attendance at the museum, and he thus rehires Larry. We then see that Larry goes to his son's career day and Larry's son now felt proud of Larry. We then see that a party is being held at the museum and everyone was enjoying themselves. In the end credits we see that the thieves were being punished and now worked as cleaners in the museum. The movie end. Thanks for listening.